What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. We'll let folks jump in here, get my questions all together. Super excited to be here with y'all today. Got some good questions, so want to definitely get to your questions today. But I appreciate y'all for sending in the questions and for, letting me answer the questions for you. I appreciate you guys showing up week after week. So super proud to be here, be able to talk to y'all. So what's up, Santos and Charlie and Gus? Good to see you, Gus. Let's see. AK Night Gorilla. Interesting. Vikings. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? We got Charlie Red Softball. We got Adri. K Light. What's up, y'all? Tell me where y'all from. Jump it in the chat. Where you tuning in from? You know, I like to know. I like to hear where everybody is tuning in from. So let me know in the chat where y'all are from. Where are y'all from? Looking forward to connecting with y'all. What's up, Adelaide? Good to meet you. Good to see you. What's up, Coach Romero? Good to see you, man. Let me know where y'all are from. Put in the chat. What's up, Nukes? Appreciate you for joining every week. You've been faithful. You're my Bay Area family, I believe. What's up, Melissa? Good to see y'all. We'll let people jump in here. Riverside, Cali all day. Let's go. I love it. Originally Albuquerque. Meet New Mexico, but now, okay, surprise, Arizona. That's what's up. I've lived in New Mexico for a little bit. So New Mexico is pretty close to my heart. San Diego. Yep. What's up? What's up? What's up, Coach Lynn? What's up, Sarah? Good to have y'all on today. We got some questions. Pastor Robus. What's Kayla? Look at you joining the group. I don't know. Do you always come on? I'm going to have to ask you that in our private calls. But good to see you. Wisconsin in the house. Let's go. Let's go. New Jersey. Okay. All right, y'all. We see y'all in here. Man, I got some questions today I want to make sure I get to. So we'll kind of jump in and we'll go from there. But if you haven't, share this with your friends. Let them know that we do this every Tuesday night. As a reminder, I always will put, and I didn't do it last night, so I actually messed up. But usually Monday nights, I will post on my stories. Okay, Canada. I usually post on my stories basically a question for you guys, a prompt, so you guys can ask your questions in there. That's usually how I respond to your questions. Or if for some reason you missed that prompt, you can always direct message me your questions and I will answer them in the live as well. I do also have a free community. So if you're interested in being in that free community, definitely when this ends, DM me the word community and it should, or comment the word community, and it should send you over to the community, which is, those questions are the ones I usually answer first. So we're going to go right over to those questions. What's up, Giselle? Good to see you. That's my girl, Giselle. All right, y'all. So let's jump into the questions I got on my community first, and then we'll go from there. So this young lady asked if it's okay to put her personal profile sheet up during a tournament. And she didn't clarify the question at first. So I told her, no, your tournament play should be where you post your team profile sheet and have it available if a coach wants your personal one, but your team one should be sufficient enough. At this point, coaches are looking at your entire team and wanting to take notes. So your personal one on the backstop is not necessary. Now, she did ask me the question if she was picking up for this particular team, should she do so? And I would say very similar. That team should do their due diligence and add you to their profile sheet. Or if a coach comes up and asks for that profile sheet, they should have it available to give it to them. I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing to have it hanging if you are a pickup player. But I would just kind of, if I could, just give it to my coach, let my coach kind of be the one that hands it over to them. So I thought that was a really good question. So the next question I got was, I know stats have importance, but at what point are coaches looking at those stats? Does one tournament stats matter over consistent growth over time? And I thought this was a really, really good question because I know how much you all love to include your stats in your emails. And I'm going to tell you, and this could just be me, I'm pretty sure it's not, but I could tell you that unless you are a pitcher, that we want to know, like your ERA, want to know a little bit more about your strikeout versus your sac flies, ratios, your balls to strikes ratio. We don't necessarily care about your stats as much as you think we do, because there are a lot of ins and outs that go with stats. We got parents who run stats that don't know what they're doing. We got game changer making up things. We got some things that we're not sure if it's an error or not. So oftentimes what always speaks to us over stats is going to be the way that you play in the game, and your production in those games, as well as your videos on social media. So I would say unless you are a pitcher, it's not necessarily necessary. Now, with the athletes that I work with, if I have an athlete whose strengths are RBIs, I always will have them notate how many RBIs they had for the weekend. So that does require you to have stats, just because we want to follow along with the language that we are sending to coaches. We want it to match what our videos do. So like if I say I'm an RBI hitter, Kayla is one of them, so she's on the live right now. When she tells me that she's one of her strengths is an RBI hitter, I help score runs. Then I would like to know, in your 4 games, how many RBIs did you have? So can you match what you're saying as a strength to actual footage, and then stats that match that? Make sense? So that would be some of the ways that you can utilize stats. But as far as like, do they really, really hold a lot of weight? Again, unless you're a pitcher, not as much as you think they do. Okay, so you can save some of those stats or digging for those stats and just spend a little bit more time showcasing what you did in that tournament and what were the strengths that you have and how you help our team win and be successful. Hope that helps. All right. So when filling out college recruiting questionnaires, the question is how they're asking about stats as well. But the question is, how much of the questionnaire do we actually care about? So when you're doing the questionnaire, if you know stats, you could put them in there, but I think it goes back to what I just said earlier. What I would consider we care most about in the questionnaires is your contact information, okay, your grad year, and then your position. And then we care a lot about what link you put for your video so we can go watch you play. So understand this as coaches, and when you're trying to connect with coaches and get on their radars and everything, nothing speaks louder than your skill. I know we get to tournaments and camps especially, and there was like this wave where a lot of coaches would say the things like, well, you know, an athlete would ask, well, what just stands out as a player? And some coaches would always give you kind of the fluff, oh, attitude and effort and, you know, energy. And I think those are very important. I think all of those things very much so matter. And a negative attitude could 100% turn a coach off. But if I'm truly going to be interested in watching you long term, I want to see your skill. So not your numbers, not your batting average, not your batting velocity, hitting velocity. Your hitting velocity. I want to see your skill. So finding ways to showcase that. The actions are always going to speak louder than words. That's why long emails in the very beginning, when you're first getting to know coaches, is unnecessary, because we don't really want to read all that. We just really want to see, do we like your skill enough to keep learning more about you? So I want you to understand that as you go through this process. It's really important. And I want to say, with the questionnaires, just every year as you get new information, for instance, SATs or ACT scores, whenever those things are updated, then go ahead and go back in and create it and fill it out again. Make sense? So you don't have to stress about not having all the things necessary at that particular moment. Just as they come, make sure you update it. Make sense? What's up, Jasmine? What's up, Master? Good to see you guys. All right, next question. Do D1 coaches only look at pitchers that are pitching 60 to 65 miles per hour? This particular person says that she's right below 60. She has a strong accuracy, spin, and movement, and an awesome changeup. She said a few people have told her that she should be looking at community college. And I responded to her already in the community, but I want to say it here. Stop listening to what people say, especially if they're not college coaches. I would say as a 2028, that means right now that you are still 2 years till you get to college. You have some time to develop. So what I would say is go heavy in the winter on your strength training, okay, your movement training, as far as like mobility, and just build that up and work on your push, especially if you are right below 60. Now, hear me out. If you're right below 60, you're at enough speed to make a difference between your changeup and your speed and your velocity. So you have a chance to continue to grow, and you could probably get 2 to 3 more miles per hour within, I would say, the next year to year and a half, which makes you in that lower level 60s. Now, if you are like at a 52, 53, now the question is not necessarily, do I need to go to community college? Because a community college is not going to help you develop or add 8 to 10 miles per hour to your pitches. So at this particular moment, you might want to be looking at schools that are lower level Division 1s, Division 2s, and so forth and so on. Not necessarily community college, because I don't think that going to a community college is going to help increase your speed enough to play at those mid-major, high-level Division 1 schools. But you can have a really great career at an NAIA Division II sort of program. So I think knowing the difference between being at a low 50 and high 50 going into 60s is really important. The second thing I'll say to that is I was at the University of Washington, and Gabby Plain, who's way removed. You guys probably don't know who she is, but she's originally from Australia, and her speed was 59 miles per hour. She would hit 61 every now and again, and she was one of the most dominant pitchers in Pac-12 when we had Pac-12. So that lower level 60 does not high level 50. Not hitting 60 yet does not count you out. So I want to say keep pushing, especially if you're a sophomore. Now, if you are a senior throwing that, let's figure out how do we increase our ability to get pop flies or ground balls and easy outs for our team. Showcase those things and let coaches see that. Because if you're still able to be effective in those pitches, there are still some opportunities that could exist for you. So very good question. All right, let's see. What are some important things to put on your player profile sheet? Can coaches accept these from a 2028 athlete, or is it too early for them? So yeah, what's interesting about camps and showcases where coaches are at is there's, for some reason, I don't understand why we made this rule, but if we are working the event as far as like the showcase or camp, as long as you're giving it to us before games start, we could take it from any age group possible. So 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, we could take your profile sheet as long as it's within that camp timing. Now, the minute that the tournament starts, we're unable to take that profile sheet from the athlete directly. Now we do have to get it from your coach. But in general, what we want to put on there is your player profile sheet is your resume. It's something that we could remember you by. So I'm gonna answer this next question. I'm gonna come back to this one because they're gonna all correlate. So my next question that I got was basically the question of, let's see. Oh, I forgot my question. Thoughts on 14U playing in some 16U tournaments. Actually, that's not going to relate. So I'm just going to say this. All right. So I was at a showcase, not this weekend, but last weekend. And I was there. I think I said this last week, but I was there for 12 hours. I wasn't planning to be there for 12 hours. I really planned to work the showcase, watch maybe 1 or 2 games, and get out of there. But I ended up staying longer, and I'll tell you the story. So we worked the camp. There were about 60 athletes in the camp. After the camp, I had about 15 athletes or so in my line that wanted to talk to me. Of those 15 people, I think I got maybe 3 to 4 profile sheets. Now, what sucks about that is that I potentially liked more of those athletes that were in my line. But if I had to tell you who they were, and if I had to recollect who they were to you, I would not be able to remember who they are. Okay. So when people sometimes say like profile sheets are like coaches don't even like those things. And here's the thing, like I like it. And honestly, you'd rather them have it than not have it, like have it and not need it than need it and not have it. In this particular situation, this is exactly what happened. I didn't get the information from those players, and I actually gave the same philosophy to the athletes this week. But if I don't have anything to reference back to you, then how do you expect me to find you? Makes sense? So on your profile sheet, we have to have the big 3, name, grad, your position, have a picture of yourself. You want to have your contact information. And if you are a 2028, 2029, 2030, I would say just have your email and your social media. If you are a 28, 27, 29, I would say 28, you can kind of go either way. You want to have your phone number included. Okay. And then you also want to, make sure that you have your coach's information if you're the younger half. So we want to have your coach's information no matter what, but specifically for those younger athletes, because you want them to be able to contact your coach, because I can't directly contact you after we leave that camp, if that makes sense. So those would be the main things. I would say include some of your strengths. If one of your strengths is your high GPA, talk about that. If one of your strengths is your speed, make sure that's included on there. But with the athletes that I work with my program, we talk a lot about our 3 strengths. So I always make them highlight those things on their profile sheet. Basically, we're always trying to answer the question, what are my strengths? Why do coaches care? Like, why do I want that as a coach? And how does it help me win a championship? So anything that I can put on my profile sheet that gives them a little bit of insight is great. What not to put on your profile sheet: you should not have your birth date on there. You should not have your address on there. We are not looking for your birthday, and we're not going to look for your address. So just imagine putting all of your information on one piece of paper, and it's just at the tournament, and all of a sudden someone grabs it. Now they have your name, your birthday, and your address. That's pretty scary, and probably your phone number. So let's not do that. Let's make sure we don't put that on there. So don't do that. We're not going to contact your parents, so there's no need to put your parents on there as well. And then I would say the other thing would be, if you want to have a QR code on there where people can scan and go to your links, I think that's really helpful. And then, forgot one major thing: your schedule. So whatever tournament schedule you have for that fall or that summer, you want to make sure you put that on there as well, right? Let coaches know where you're going to be at. So that would be some of the things that I would say should be on your player profile sheet. So very good question. Now back to the point that I was making earlier, is that I was at a field all day, 60 athletes, 8 in my line or 15 in my line. I probably got like 3 to 4 profile sheets. I remember the 3 to 4 players because I have their profile sheet. And then I was literally planning to leave, and a coach comes up to me and says, "Hey coach, like I have these players that I really want you to look at." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I mean, when do you play?" Because literally I'm telling y'all, I'm trying to get out of there. And this is how most coaches are. "Well, we don't play till 4. I'm like, "Oh crap, it's only 12 o'clock. Okay. Okay, are they good? Like, do you think I really need to watch them?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 of them." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I started watching games. So I probably watched there was like 5 fields happening. I could see 3 fields. I was sitting in the middle. So I probably watched about 9 games before his game. Then I stayed and I watched his game. Okay, they were actually good, so it was worth it. But as I was staying to watch his game, another coach comes up to me and says, "Hey coach, are you still looking for 2026s?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then he goes, "Okay, cool. I need you to watch these players. Like, I'm telling you, they're going to be legit, but we don't play until 7. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I am not staying till 7, bro." But I stayed till 7. And sure enough, those athletes were really good. The 2 athletes that he gave me their information from, and we had phone calls with them this week. Here's the point. In a day, 12 hours, I probably watched a little over 15 games. If you figure 15 games with about 15 players, that's about 300 players that I watched in a day, 60 in the camp, right? So another 360. And I left that field remembering about 8 players. Okay. This is the nature of recruiting. So when you are simply just going to events, when your coaches are simply just coaching you at these events, but you're not maybe going to the camp and getting your own personal attention from these coaches or giving them the profile sheets, you run the struggle of potentially like not getting noticed. And it's not your fault. And this is why I'm doing this work, is because I want you to realize that like going to camps, going to showcases, playing these tournaments are all important, but you have to have things in place that go along with that, right? So just imagine being out there and like, oh, there's 10 coaches out here, but no coach remembers me. That's tough, right? So there has to be things in place, like your coaches coming out of the dugouts and having conversations with us, letting us know what athletes they have, being brave enough to talk to us in passing and say, "Hey coach, what are you looking for? How can I help you?" Also sending us emails as well could be really helpful for you. The second part of that is the next question that I got was, is it worth it getting a program like NCSA at 13 or waiting until 16? So this is kind of where I was going to go with that question. So 100% there needs to be some sort of assistance and ability in your ability at a younger age to get noticed by coaches. Now, you already know we can't communicate with you as a Division I school until your junior year. But for especially the higher level, when I was at the University of Washington, we're picking up athletes and we're finding athletes at 8th and 9th grade, literally. So if you believe that your athlete can play at that level, I think it's best to get them on some people, help them in the process of getting on a radar of a coach. And I would say be careful with the programs that you use. Like, I don't think Sports Recruits is the best. I don't think NCSA is the best. I think you have to go with someone who personally has the ability to actually connect with coaches and actually get you noticed and seen. So I have a program like that. But I also recommend NSR because they also have a program, and I'm not here to sell you on my program, but NSR does a really good job, especially Mandy. She does a really good job of this. So if your athlete is a level of skill where they should be getting on coaches' radars at 13, then I definitely think you should hire someone to help her in that process and give her a roadmap and to create clarity, because there's a lot of things that are out there that people are telling you, well, just wait until your junior year. And that's not a good response. Like, that's a horrible response. I always say go with the longest runway and start as soon as you can, because the longest runway closes the shortest. And here's what I mean. High-level Division I schools are looking at athletes to be able to call on September 1st, their junior year, and commit within that same year, their junior year, which means that they've had to know about them in their sophomore year or in their freshman year. So there is a time frame that closes very quickly for Division I schools, especially high-level Division I schools. So the longer you wait, the shorter that runway gets for that program. Everybody else is going to wait for the Power 4 Division I schools to pick their players first. And then we'll come in around that junior year and we're like, absolutely, let's jump in to try to see, can we get some of these good athletes that are still left in your junior year? But we're still looking at you your sophomore year, hoping that like maybe they don't pick you up or there gets some confusion around or whatever happens, right? So we're going to be looking for you a little bit earlier. So just make sure you understand this concept. So thoughts on 14U players in some 16U tournaments to get college coaches exposure. I love this question. I actually answered this question in my community as well with an athlete about playing up. And I want you to understand, same concept. Most Division I schools are going to be looking for athletes in that 16U bracket first. Just because, again, we're trying to get people on our radar to make phone calls September 1st of their junior year. So if you are 17 or 2027 grad, we would want to already have known who you are before you get to 18U, which means that we're looking at you at the 16U bracket. So what I will say to this particular parent who's a 14U parent playing up, I would say, is your athlete ready and prepared to compete at the 16U level to make that impression that's necessary for those coaches to want to learn more about them? If they still need some more development, I think you could kind of determine which tournament you're going to be at. And if there's going to be more of like a tournament style play versus a showcase, I think it's 100% okay. Or it's more local to you. Definitely play up at the 16U level because you want to understand where is the gap and how do I fill that gap. But if it's at a sparkler and you're a 14U team going to play 16U, I'm not sure I would 100% recommend that, if that makes sense, if they're not ready for that. So that would be my advice on that. So very, very good question. All right. And I think we're almost wrapping up here. My last question that I have right now is, if a college coach for a school you're very interested in told your travel ball coach she is coming to watch you play at a particular showcase and is there but doesn't watch you play, is that a sign they are no longer interested in you? Would you recommend reaching back out to the coach and still attending their camps? So I wanted to ask a follow-up question to this parent because I wanted to know what her grad year was, because you never know what a coach is going through when they're looking at you at camps or showcases and tournaments. Okay, so I'll be honest. I was saying this to somebody last week that sometimes when I go to tournaments, I might know, like right now, I'm in a school where I just joined this program. I just joined this program, and we definitely still need athletes for next year. Makes sense? So thank you for answering that. Thank you so much, M. Cook. So she's actually the one that asked the question. So right now I am going to tournaments, and I am looking in the 18U bracket because like I'm trying to see what's available still that I can bring in for next year. That is the mentality that I'm after right now. However, there are some tournaments, like one that I went to in the very beginning of the 6 weeks that we could be out, that I knew was not going to have high caliber teams. I kind of went because it was a friend, wanted to kind of be there to help him out. So I would stay and watch the 16U bracket because I knew like there, I probably wasn't going to find athletes who were ready to compete at a high level at that particular tournament. So sometimes tournaments are really, really important. So what did I do? I looked at the 16U bracket and started to create my list for what to do moving forward. But in this particular moment, like these last 2 weekends, I knew there were going to be good athletes still at the 18U level. So I went to watch that. So why is that important? I would say, reach back out to this coach. And I would say when you finish a tournament in general, you should be creating a highlight video and sending it into an email to the coaches anyway. So you could just say in your message to them, hey coach, saw you at the games. Thanks so much saw you at the games. Not sure if you got a chance to watch me play. I wanted to make sure I give you a highlight for the weekend. I'm still very interested in your program. Would like to know what I need to do to kind of continue to have conversations with you, because as a 2027 grad, they can have conversations. So we have to be a little bit more direct in our questioning without saying, can we have a phone call? Can I have a visit? It's more of like, what do I need to do to continue to be on your radar, right? Here's my video. I would love for you to evaluate my skill just in case you didn't get to see it at the tournament. Let me know what else I need to do to help stay on your radar, whatever that might be. So we want to kind of ask that question. So don't shy away from being direct in that way. And then I would just say, if your coach, let's see, did you say your coach let you know? Your child walk coach let you know. So I would also have them reach out as well and see if they can find out any more information. But more than likely, like the coach said it, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I'll be forgetting where I'm going. So I would say that might be what happened. They could have been standing right there and you was like excited and they never looked your way. They probably was like distracted. So I would just say, ask the question, get your coach to ask the question as well. So thanks for asking that question. So yeah, so I think that's about it for today, y'all. We got in and we got out. And so I have a little bit of a surprise. I think I told y'all last week I was going to get a tattoo, and I did get one this weekend. You can't really see it, but it's basically a lighthouse. You can't see it right now because of my light, but it's a lighthouse. And my lighthouse says, I shine because I am his. And through my light, others can also feel his love. So like people always ask me like, why do I do these free lives? Why do I always give out this information? People always say they love my content. They love my energy. They love who I am and what I'm about. And I will say it was not always like that for me. And there were a lot of things like sport that really made me feel like I received validation and value because I played this sport. I was pretty good. I was pretty good at like being a good athlete and doing what I needed to do in order to get the recognition that I needed to get. But on the inside, I was not feeling 100% confident who I was. I felt like my parents weren't around. There's a lot of stories behind it. So when I show up with my hat backwards and I show up wanting to give you this free game and this value, it's really because like I want my light to shine and I want people to know like if I could get through hard things, you could get through hard things. And that when you're at camps, what I always leave with the last few times has been, you have two things. You have value and you have strengths. You are not at these camps and tournaments to determine what your value is. You already have that. Out of 8 billion people in the world, there is only one of you, which makes you unique, valuable, and enough just as you are. What you are trying to showcase to us is your strengths. Okay. And so if you are unclear on what your strengths are, figure out what those things are and live in those, be confident in those and own that, take ownership of that and showcase that to us. Okay. Because once we know what your strengths are and we know how we can use it in our program, like we're going to go after you as a person. Does that make sense? So I would just say, like, remember, you have two things. You already have value and you already have strengths. If you're not sure what your strengths are, learn them. But I'm telling you that you have the value. Makes sense? So with that, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you for joining. And we will see you next week. Have any questions? Let me know. All right, y'all. Peace. God loves you.